Mark is here if you have any questions.
And that will be a TIF, paid through TIF, correct? Or not?
I don't believe the interest, the loan to the LBIC will be paid through TIF. That's a Joe question.
Okay.
Because we won't have generated TIF. So what the reason for the request is we have to install infrastructure, and that'll take a period of time. And then we need time to sell the first lots. And so the request is to allow LBIC to get it developed and sell those first lots and use the proceeds to pay the city back.
Okay.
We're gonna create a TIF area out there, but it won't start producing TIF until those entities actually pay taxes. So whatever fund Joe elects to use it from for the 24 months.
That makes sense. As far as infrastructure, we've got everything there, right? I mean, everything is.
On the perimeter.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
what I
close.
mean. Everything is right there. We've already laid the groundwork for that.
Yeah.
And then my only other question on this, which I'm in favor of, is that's the county yet?
We'll annex that in. Yes, that is county, but
So do they have any say in this? I mean, how does that work? Do we need I don't know how that works, and I did come up with that
We'll
question.
have to do a voluntary annexation request from the property owner when they own it. And then we can start the process, just like we did with industrial, fourth, fifth, whatever, fourth and fifth maybe? Yeah, same process.
Fourth and
Yeah,
Southview.
we'll do that, Clark, that request to annex, we'll get it annexed in before we start installing anything. That shouldn't be a very long process.
We do.
We still are, as far as infrastructure, so yes, everything is at the perimeter. But we're just verifying the sanitary for sure, because all of that waste in that area goes through the lift station.
Sure it
so
does.
gets pumped. So we just want to verify that what we have there now
It's sufficient size?
will handle what gets built in this corner.
Okay.
So that we don't know 100% for sure yet.
Mark, are you in a position to be able to talk a little bit about prospects for development?
Yeah, so what makes sense for a development like that is the first three targeted businesses will be food, fuel, and lodging. The types of businesses that pull people off of the bypass. And then other types of businesses that would go out there would be professionals or commercial type businesses that would thrive by taking advantage of that traffic that those types of businesses will attract. And you can see that along the expressway going north to Worthington, other communities that have done it, the types of commercial businesses that they do attract.
And the likelihood of getting those types of businesses in place, you're pretty optimistic about that?
I am. LBIC, even before this opportunity came up, did a hotel market study, and we did identify there's a need for a hotel. And in the proximity to Wells corporate office and the bypass, I've had conversations with 3 different developers prior to this, and they've all expressed a desire, that would be a desirable location. Obviously, we have a long ways to go before we get commitments, but there is interest already.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that this is it's pretty key to developing that area. As Mark said, you go north, Sheldon and Sibley to a lesser extent, you see the development that's happened along there. I think that this is something that is probably a little bit overdue here, and I think I certainly would, without the experience that Mark has, I would surely think that he's correct in terms of, the opportunity here to get that development kicked off here. I think there's going to be some, I would guess there'd be some pretty significant interest in food, fuel, and lodging there. So I think it's worth doing it. Certainly in favor of it.
You don't think 24 months is too aggressive for achieving this?
Because of its location, I don't.
Okay, I mean, I'm taking your word for that. Okay.
I will say a prayer periodically.
What?
I will say a prayer periodically to make sure that I am correct. correct.
Well, no, I mean, I think.
No, we're gonna
what-
work hard.
What I've heard, I mean, it's, like Brad says, I'm not opposed to it. I think it's probably a pretty decent plan.
In the 3 years that I've been here, I've had businesses approach me saying if that was available, we'd have interest. And that's why I'm basing that 24 months on.
Sure.
As fast as we can get infrastructure, we're gonna sell some lots.
Okay.
Yeah, so what it was, so the 2 years was put on there, on the recommendation of Mark, really to lessen the burden on the city and to ensure that LBIC works to keep stuff
Keep moving, right.
Good work, Mark.
Any other questions? Before Mark sits back down.
I'll make a motion to approve entering into an agreement with the LBIC where the city of Lamar's makes interest payments on a loan secured by the LBIC for the purchase of 35 acres of property at the Key Avenue and 24th Street Southwest intersection.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
I got a question for Mike. Will we need to bring that agreement back for council approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Might even help you get a stoplight out there.
Don't think I haven't had that conversation.
No. Just think of roundabout. Well, that's what.
He's being honest over there.
Let's not move too forward. Let's get this one settled first, shall we? Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Moving on. Item 6, the 2025 Industrial Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Award of Contract. The council set this as the date to consider bids received for the 2025 Industrial Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. A total of 8 bids were received and opened on March 12, 2025 at 10 a.m. A bid tab is attached. The project consists of extending the sanitary sewer main to serve 4 lots in Lamar's Industrial Park second and third editions that currently do not have access to sewer. The schedule is March 18, 2025 award and August 1st, 2025 completion. The administration and Beck Engineering recommend council award the project to the lowest bidder. The estimated for the project was $104,246 to be reimbursed by TIF.
All right, so if you notice, of the 8 bids, they all came underneath the estimate. And Vanderpool, no, not Vanderpool.
You could have printed out a little bit larger.
That's what I was hoping. I had used my phone.
Salzma,
Solzma, yeah.
so they came in at 78,000. So that's a recommendation to go with.
I don't mind them coming in under, but I
Salzman has
wonder
worked,
why.
they're out of Hospers, so.
Have we done anything with them? That
Yeah.
name sounds new.
It's been quite a while. When I first started here, just about every year they did something for us.
Okay.
They haven't done anything for the city in recent history, but they have worked on, it was either KNS 2 or KNS 3. They did the underground for that.
Any other questions? Then I would seek a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution 2512 awarding the contract for 2025 Industrial Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Project to Salzma Excavating and Tiling in the amount of $78,853.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Could I have a roll call, please?
Goodchild,
Yes.
Wick,
Yes,
Sturgeon,
Yes.
Pick,
Yes.
Bruns.
Yes.
motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Discussion. Jason, anything for us today?
No, once we get through this weather tonight, hopefully some of our open projects should get started again, so.
Good.
Finish up the airport, the Salzman thing can get started, so. And I will go back to, I wasn't kidding about the roundabout, that was actually, if you remember right, when we hired Stanley Consultants to look at that intersection, at the end of that report, that was one of their recommendations, was possible roundabout out there.
For another discussion, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so, so ISG, who's helping with kind of the layout with that possible 35 acres, they'll be looking at that study and then also considering the roundabout. So,
Where key meets, right?
yeah.
You'll get favoritism from me on that. I'll
I'd
tell
rather
you.
see that than-
What's that?
I'd rather see that than a stoplight.
Yeah, you get favoritism from me on that.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to see one by the Dairy Queen, but I
think
know the
there's plenty-
railroad,
I
I
think
think
there's
totally
plenty-
messes that up, but I'd like to see one by the railroad,
Yeah, I think,
or by the Dairy Queen.
yeah, there's plenty of space, I think,
I don't,
out there. You know, yeah, we've talked about a roundabout by Dairy Queen, but I don't know.
with the, it's weird.
Is there enough space to
Right.
pull it in there? That's the big thing.
But already the walking, jogging, and bike traffic on the trail will go across the street and then across the street. Some just go kitty corner. I think roundabout makes a little more sense because you just kind of go around.
I actually am definitely not, once you get used to them. My only concern is, well, Martians seem to struggle with turn lanes, and so I'm not sure how easily the. turning-
Uncontrolled intersections, get me started about that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
All right, that was all I had.
All right, Joe?
Nothing really to add other than before the committee meetings coming up on Friday and Monday.
Perfect.
He's got a strange sense of entertainment. No, I just think people should drive by and look at the overlook. It's really coming along. They're putting that baby up fast, so, and they've been working through the winter. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Clark?
I'm gonna, outdoor pool, Jason, you can weigh in, guys, outdoor pool. Any conditional, any maintenance things that we see coming up? If you don't, it's not a trick question, so you don't have to,
Typical
but,
concrete.
but we don't have any issues right now that are, I mean, typical concrete, let's leave that out.
Yeah, I think isn't there a pump?
There's a
Pump in
there's
the-
a pumping replace, or a strainer basket that we have that got delivered.
Okay.
That's gonna get replaced this spring for the slide.
But nothing real big.
No, slides all fixed.
Yeah, slide's fine, it's just that strainer and then,
You could potentially find some things as you start to fill it, I suppose, but not
yes, but nothing,
not-
nothing right now. I think they're gonna do some other welding work on a buoy system in the Malibu pool, but that shouldn't be anything major. That should be an easy fix as far as we've been told and seen at it.
Because it's been a couple of years since I've heard anything about either of our pools, which, for sitting here, it's.
Yeah, the last big thing, the outdoor pool.
Knock on wood.
I know that, but,
We had to repaint out, there's some painting issues outside.
right,
The slide, I mean, those have been
right.
most recent things up there.
It's kind
And
of
the
going
need to
where-
close the indoor, and the need to close the indoor pool as far in advance before we open the outdoor pool is what?
Yeah, I think we're looking at closing the indoor pool end of April, either the right before Easter or the week after Easter.
Okay,
And then we'll go straight into outdoor pool filling and getting that ready.
okay.
So we'll probably start once it gets above freezing, we'll start mid-April to start cleaning that and getting it ready to fill.
Okay.
So we can do lifeguard classes and trainings as needed.
Okay,
And the only other thing that I have, I want to open discussions on this 7% tax incentive for apartments.
It's a year.
7 years.
Excuse me, 7 years. I want to open discussions on backing that off to 5. My reason is because if I'm not mistaken, that is an incentive up to 10 years allowed by the state of Iowa to spurn growth, to generate interest in growing. And I think we have enough apartment projects going on right now to where I would like to see us back that off to 5, and see where we're sitting for filling these apartments. And then after that, if it's deemed we need to spurn the growth again, we can, this body can then revisit that. But I didn't want to bring it up here because somebody's got plans laid out and everything. But I would really like this body to open discussions on what we want to do with that before the next one comes up. So
Let's look at,
I would like to open those
because
discussions.
the housing study is gonna be done, correct? Yeah, so
That's fine.
that will tell us how we sit with apartments, I guess.
Okay.
So
What do we got at Erdmanville, 130?
92.
It'd be 92 apartments and then 8 townhouses.
8, okay.
But LBIC has ordered a full-blown housing study, not a
Okay.
housing needs assessment, a housing study. And what that study's gonna tell us at the end is what we need in each category. Because we have this Vision 2045 plan, and we're gonna create all these houses. But how many of it needs to be senior houses? How many of it needs to be apartments? Have we saturated the market? How many of it needs to be entry-level homes?
Single family, right.
And so we're gonna assess that. So
Okay. When's that done, Mark? Good, that sounds fantastic because.
10 weeks that process takes, and that kicks off tomorrow. So,
Okay.
and the only other thing, as you guys contemplate adjusting that, but I do like Jason's recommendation, let's get the housing study. The state of Iowa did change the urban revitalization program to where school taxes are no longer part of that 7-year exemption. So essentially, you're taking a third of that, that's no longer part of that.
Okay, explain that to me, because I
So-
think I follow exactly what you said.
So
the
right now-
school portion of this 7-year does not apply to any of it?
Not anymore, for the multifamily housing. So, it used to be, when we give the when we'd approve that,
Right.
the county portion, the city portion, and the school portion were abated.
Correct.
And this past session, the legislature took away the school portion.
Oh, okay, I did
And
not
so
know
now
that.
it's just the county portion and the city portion. So there is, you're reducing it by a third.
So there is a less already?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
So it's kind of twofold. Let's see what the legislature does, and let's see what our study tells us.
Okay.
And then you guys can make your decision with all the facts in front of you.
Right, and that's fair, that's no
Okay.
problem. I wanted to visit it when I saw this one, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, this is already laid out.
Do you know if there's a direct correlation to the school taxes that are still taken out and the school getting that money? Because it seems like years ago we had a law enforcement surcharge that law enforcement didn't see a penny of. So it's a little bit of a shell game?
Yeah, they're looking at the whole property tax structure. I'm not gonna comment to what their logic is. It just happened.
And I just want to know if it benefited education by not taking that out of these taxes directly.
Well, the assumption would be they'd be getting that money.
Correct.
I mean,
Track what they get year to year. I
Yeah.
don't think it,
all right, well, I just wanted to
Yep.
put that on our radar, because, you know,
Yep.
I just want to make sure we're growing in the right way.
And so do we, and that's why we're doing the study.
Good enough, that's
And
all.
we'll give a report to this group once we get that study back that either confirms or changes our course.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you, Mark. Anything else, Clint?
Don't think.
Brian?
nothing.
Brad?
No, sir.
Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.